Good evening, shoppers. I posted on my Instagram feed at Waterbox Reef a few days ago or some topics for the next YouTube post, and a few people had asked for a rundown on the things that I wish I'd done differently when I started out. You know, knowing now what if I knew now, if I knew then what I knew now, what would I do differently? So I have a list, so excuse me for looking at my list, and hopefully it's out of shot, but I'll start with number one, and I've got 8 things on the list, and let's go through them one by one. Hopefully it won't take too long, because as you know, my vlogs can go on for quite some time. So number one, and this is my biggest regret, and I think probably everybody's biggest regret when they get into reef keeping in one way, shape or form. Wish I'd have got a bigger tank. And from that kind of, I wish I got a bigger tank. There's a bunch of other stuff, right, that comes on after that. But the number one thing is, I wish I got a bigger tank. My advice to you, if you're looking to get into reefing, is whatever you think you want and is going to please you, it's not. And I should have known this, because I've done this 3 times before. I've always wanted a bigger tank, 6 months after I started. And I think you think of your wallet a lot, right? Obviously, but listen, if you can afford it, get the big tank, right? Try and persuade your wife, your partner, whatever. Get the bigger tank. It solves so many headaches. If you get into this hobby as much as I have down the road, you'll thank yourself for just getting a bigger tank. I could keep the fish that I want. I could keep the coral that I wanted. I could just endless, absolutely endless. I wouldn't have a bunch of cables laying everywhere over the floor, because I can't keep all my Apex and my Dose and equipment and my Trident all nice and tidy. You know, apart from the fact that I'd love an Achilles tang in my tank and some other fish that need a lot of swimming space, the room underneath in the sump area is invaluable. So number one, if you can get the biggest tank that you can, go for it. Don't think that what you've chosen is gonna please you 6 months down the line, because I can promise you it's not gonna. All right, the next thing, and I get questions about this all the time, not whether buying live rock was the answer versus dry rock, and I'll do another video on that another time, right? My experience with the live rock, from ordering it to getting in the tank, and the issues that I had, and would I do it again. But I wish I'd put my rocks on a bare bottom, not on top of a sand bed. And the reason I say that, and there's only one reason, is when you order live rock, and especially the type that comes from Tampa Bay, right, where you have no die-off, everything that they ship on that rock is pretty much going to stay alive. You get some good and you get some bad critters. And I have 2 pistol shrimps in there, and they have made a tunnel system like no other. They pop up all over the place. And it's fine to start with because they're small, but as they grow and they get older, and these things live for about 2 years, 2 or 3 years, they start making tunnels everywhere. And I'm at the point now where there's a couple of pieces of rock in there that are kind of teetering on the edge, and I'm trying to figure out ways to stop the landslide. I think I'm okay. I'm hoping I'm okay, but if I could have done it again, I would have put that rock on a bare bottom and then filled in with sand around the rock. So that's number 2. Number 3, I'd have probably gone with a different lighting system, for many reasons, of which I'm not going to get into, but I wish I'd have gone for another lighting system. I wish I'd gone for a hybrid system. The problem is where my tank is now, and in fact if I got a new tank and put it in a new location, right, there's a couple of things with the hybrid system. You really want it hanging from the ceiling, and that's not going to fly with the wife. 100%, that's not going to fly. There are the kind of brackets or the mounting kits, right, that go over the top of the tank. But for those, for a large tank, you know, not all of them look nice. And a personal experience, I don't think they look nice enough, right, for me to want to have that over the top of my tank. But I think I would have considered a lighting system had I done this again. Like I say, probably would have been a hybrid between LEDs and the T5 lights, and I probably would have gone with someone like ATI, to be honest with you. Not only do they make great lights, their interaction with the customer, of which you know I'm a big proponent of, is second to none. They seem to want to get involved. They seem to want to support the folks that are using their equipment. So that's probably what I would have done. But it is what it is. I am where I am, and I'm using the AI lights. I don't have anything negative to say about the light per se, right? They're working as advertised. So let's leave that one there. Number 4. I wish I'd gone with an Apex system earlier than I did with the Trident and the dosing, the DDR, and the whatever you call it, the DOS. That thing has changed the way that my tank kind of looks. I think if you are still manual dosing and you've got it down to a fine art, you know, kudos to you, but it's tough, right? And it's for me, I don't have the time. I spent all my spare time on this tank, all of it, and the dosing was becoming a problem, and you just can't, when you get as much coral in the tank as I've got in there, and it's nowhere near as some people, it's just hard to keep up with it, right? And the key is stability, and the Apex system gives you that, right? It gives you the stability. It takes care of everything for you. Kind of goes back a little bit to wanting a bigger tank, though. The downside of having all the Apex equipment or the Neptune system equipment that I have is that I have nowhere to put it. It's all outside of my tank. It looks horrible. You guys don't see it because I cover it up pretty well, but you probably see it over my right shoulder here. It's everywhere over the floor in the living room. Wife hates it, I hate it, so a big tank would sort that out. It'll go in the sump. But, you know, back to number 4, get an Apex, a Neptune Apex system, a Trident as soon as you can. Number 5, and I learnt this the hard way, get a generator. As you know, we had a tornado come through town a couple of weeks ago. Our power was out for 8 hours. Some people go longer than that. There's all kinds of fancy gadgets, right, on the available battery backup units and this, that and the other, but a battery backup unit's not going to last you 8 hours. I'm running 2 tanks as well, so things I wish I would have done when I started this is got a generator sooner rather than later. I have one now. I just dropped $600, $700 on that, and they're not cheap, but given the amount of money that I've spent stocking the tank with fish and corals and live rock and everything that would die off, right, if that tank didn't get power for a number of hours, it doesn't bear thinking about. So do yourself a favor, if you can afford it, get yourself a generator. If you can't afford a generator, at least get something that's going to keep your tank alive for a little while. One of the battery backup solutions would be ideal, but for me, the generator I got will run 7 hours on a tank of gas. It's fairly quiet. It would run actually this tank. In fact, it would run all of this tank and my tank upstairs and my fridge if I wanted to, right, with absolutely no trouble. I'd actually only put about 500 watts through the generator that's rated for 1700 watts, so no issue. But a generator is up there high on the list of things that I wish that I'd got when I started out. Next one is the skimmer. I procrastinated a long time over which skimmer to get, and I got the Nios Quantum 160. It takes such a long time to get dialed in. don't get me wrong, it's a great skimmer, but I really wish that I'd gone with one of the Octo skimmers, the ones that have the fancy little auto cut-off switch when the cup gets too full. The one that doesn't rely on the leveling your sump to be constant, right? Because it supplies itself its own kind of air through another pump. I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd gone down the avenue of getting one of those Octo skimmers. And in fact, 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, I was thinking about getting rid of the Nios and getting the Octo. But it's funny, just as I thought I was going to do that, the Nios, and this is 6 months in, just started working how it should have been working all those months ago. And that's taken a good while. That's taken a good 5 or 6 months to get it working where I want it to. It's funny, it seems to work better now. It's all dirtied up and horrible and brown looking inside the main chamber than it did when it was clean. So go figure. Number 7, I'd have got a different ATO. I have a Tunzi 3155 in there. Don't get me wrong, it does what it says it should do on the tin, right? But a couple of things. It's noisy. This thing is, the pump on it is ridiculously noisy. So that's number 1. Number 2, every time you turn it off when you do a water change, right? Because you don't want that damn buzzing going off in your ear, thinking it's, the tank's overflowing. When you plug it back in, the pump primes itself again. So you have to plug it in, rush around to the front where the sump is, take the inlet hose and kind of put it back in your chamber where you keep your RO water, so it doesn't just start filling the tank up with RO water unnecessary. I hate it. I hate it. I wish I'd gone for another ATO system that doesn't need to prime itself every time you turn it on. That's the worst thing. I can live with the noisy pump, right? Cause it's not like it's running all day, but that priming system it's in the dark ages. I don't know why it does that, but I really wish I'd got another ATO system. And then number 8, and I wish I'd found 10 things, but I didn't, so it's going to be my top 8. God, I sound like someone I don't want to sound like. But number 8 is I wish I'd have got a Pro lid from one of the manufacturers out there. I say manufacturers, right? These are generally mom and pop shops, and they take a long time to make. But I wish I'd got a proper lid for my tank. At the moment, I'm using a makeshift, and I have been since I got fish in here. A makeshift lid. It's all right. It's really easy to remove, right? And it stops the fish jumping out. It just looks ugly. I wish I'd got a real nice, proper lid to go on my tank. I think everyone should have one of those. It makes the tank look so much cleaner. So you asked, Rick, that's my top 8 things I wish I had done if I could do this all again. None of these are kind of like major things. Well, actually they are. I guess if you were asked me for my top 3, it would be get a bigger tank, put the rock on the bare bottom and then fill in sand around it, and number 3 would be get a generator. So if you want my top 3, those are they. I think I'll do another video on the things that went well and didn't go so well around the live rock. And spoiler alert, I would never do that any other way, right? I'd never go with dry rock. No. I think a good portion of why my tank is where it is today is because of the live rock, hands down. I've never used dry rock in the previous times that I've had a reef tank. I've got dry rock in there now, right, just to fill in, but I'd never start a tank up with dry rock. Again, personal preference, but there is pros and cons of using that live rock, and you need to know what you're letting yourself in for if you choose to go down that path. So that's me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so you know when I post next. I really need your subscriptions. Thanks for watching, guys.